Kia ora, and welcome to day 27 of Month Done and a month of mindful moments with tangling. Today's tangle makes me smile, not particularly because of the pattern, but because of the way it is spelt. I love the fact that this one is written down in such an unusual way. The tangle that I want to do today is a lovely lineal tangle, quite fun, which is called zip. Only it is written down as X-R-Y-P. If you like, it's a nice idea to just draw yourself a little bit of a wiggly guideline of a string, and it can just give us a guide as to where we're drawing our X's. I mentioned that it's called zip, but it starts, when written down, with an X. And it's an X that we're going to write down, just a row of them sitting on our line. Space them out a little bit, but if you've drawn a little guideline, it can be a nice way to help you keep a rhythm and flow with drawing your little X's. And as I get along here, I'm just going to get smaller as I head along so that I can give my little zip a tail. And then I'm going to rotate my paper or my book, because again I find it easier to just join my X's at the top and at the bottom by drawing towards me. If you're perfectly happy doing it going left or right, you do it your way. But each time draw the sides of the X all the way to drawing the X beside it. You may choose to go down all the way down one side, or you may choose to just top and bottom each of your X's. On my last one, because I wanted a tail, I'm just going to join them together at a point. And then in between each of your X's, we're going to draw a little diamond shape. I tend to make my diamond branch out a little bit past my X's. This tangle was found on a dollar bill. Obviously, when people are designing money, they have to try and make them very complicated, and so there are little designs hidden within the notes. Perhaps have a look at a note in your currency and see if you can find some small Zentangle pattern hidden within the detail. And even though my zip's getting smaller here, and my little diamonds are getting smaller here, I'm still having the diamond coming out past the little X's. And this tangle always, I need to throw it onto there, this tangle always needs to be, or I think always needs to be, because it's got such delicate lines, is giving it a little aura for a bit of gravitas. As with the aura, you don't need to think about where this aura line is just going. Just have a look at the lines you are auraing, each one on its own, and gently use the aura technique to give it a bit more oomph. Whether your original string line had a bit of a wiggle on, so perhaps yours looks like a tail like mine, or perhaps it's nice and straight. When this design was pulled out of the dollar bill, the engravers would have been going for straight lines because they're slightly easier to engrave than curved. But it doesn't matter which way you've chosen to draw your lines today. There may be also some embellishment techniques that you want to throw in there, so perhaps just add a little bit of rounding onto some of your aura lines. Your rounding doesn't have to be even, just where the angles of these aura lines just come in. I'm just going to add and fill in with a little bit of black on one side. And I don't need to make them even, so if it extends a little bit further out on the points on one side, that's fine. And then a little curved line inside between my diamonds. I'm just going to throw in a little ellipse and some small puffs just dotted down the middle. However, if you have a different way of decorating in these areas, feel free to do your own choice here. There can be lots of little enhancement techniques and decorations that you do with zip, which can make it quite unique. Adding a bit of drama, adding some perfs, adding more auras, adding some rounding. The enhancement techniques are very useful tools to be able to fill in an empty spot. And then I'm just going to use my shading pencil to just fill in whole areas here. Oh, I wanted to do them alternating. So on one X, I'm going to fill in the sides. The next X, I'm going to fill in the top and the bottom. However you choose to do it. You can do the same as me, or do something slightly different. Shading an area all grey sometimes is a nice balance on a tangle that's got lots and lots of little lines. And even though I've filled in a whole area, I'll still go back with my tortillon and smush the graphite into the area. Really pushing the graphite into the texture of the paper. Even if you have quite smooth paper, it's still worth finishing the graphite off this way. So there we have a little zip tile, just looking perhaps a little bit like this zip. So our prompt today, I smiled when. Have a think back to when something that gave you some joy. Does that memory bring a smile onto your face now? So not only did we enjoy the moment at the present time that it was in, but we also get to relive the joy as we remember too what happened. Write that time down here, and so when you read it again later and go through this notebook, it will give you joy once more. And I hope you join me for the last few days of Month Done.